there is a lot of chatter going around about who the backup point guard for Indiana will be. And get ready, because there are a lot of moving pieces here. So let's just recap this. Grace Berger has been waived. Grace Berger, we originally might have thought would be coming in as the backup point guard for, 7 to 10 minutes a game, giving Caitlin Clark a rest, maybe coming in at the wing. But then we acquired quite a few wing positions in Sophie Cunningham. We have Dewana Bonner, who came in, who is forward wing positioning. We have Natasha Howard, who is a straight up forward, thank God. We still have Lexi Hull, who is a great spot-up shooter. She is improving so much on her defense, too. Does get into a lot of foul trouble, but the Fever is now not short on any shooting by any means. Now, in my personal opinion, I do think that the Indiana Fever do need a backup point guard, but I am also of the mind that the Indiana Fever do need to have a power forward backup, or possibly a true center backup, as while Dantas has been coming in for the Aaliyah Boston 5 position. Temi used to do that sometimes. We don't have a Temi right now, and Dantas is not the paint attacker that Aaliyah Boston is, and that a true center-minded player is. So, at this point in time, we are guessing about where the Indiana Fever is going to go, which direction. Are they going to be looking more for some backup power forwards? Are they going to be looking more for a backup point guard? Are they going to be looking more to fill a true backup center? And free agency is coming towards the end, so a lot of the teams that have struck out in free agency will be looking to the teams that are looking to offload their bad contracts. And when you say bad contract, I know who comes to mind. And it begins with a K, middle name L, last name S maybe. Because Lou Samuelson is taking $180,000 of cap space from the Indiana Fever. And I can't say that I have not been happy with her success and her improvements in how she runs the floor and defends, and has gotten a bit of her shot back in Unrivaled. And I can't say that I bet the Indiana Fever are not happy about this too, because that would make offloading her a lot easier. And when we think about offloading her, we have to think about what teams struck out in free agency. There are a few that come to mind. The Golden State Valkyries, kind of obvious. The Chicago Sky, they're still working, but they haven't really hit gold there yet. And I don't know what the Mystics are doing yet. But listen, I spent the morning going over all these teams' rosters, what they're paying their players, and there was one person, and again, this is all hypothetical right now, but there was somebody that I thought has not been talked about, because I feel like people are covering all the Lou Samuelson, Golden State Valkyrie stuff, which is very, 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 very possible. I think that is a big possibility too. But, if the Indiana Fever are looking for a point guard, there are point guards abundant on the Chicago Sky. And there are rumors that the Chicago Sky is shopping around Dana Evans and Lindsay Allen in some sort of package. I don't know what kind of package that would be, who would be looking for 2 point guards. But, since Courtney Vandersloot has signed with the Chicago Sky, they also have Mariah Jefferson, which the rumor is that Chicago Sky is very happy with, even though her salary is at $145K, pretty big hit. But Chicago does have some cap space to spend. But would Chicago be willing to just straight up take in a Lou Samuelson $180K for the Lindsay Allen, Dana Evans trade? I don't think so. And so I think that the Fever would definitely have to sweeten the deal with a pick for next year, because Chicago does seem to be into a rebuilding, a semi-rebuilding phase, not as rebuilding as Connecticut and not as building as the Golden State Valkyries. But again, this is just one potential option. But I was also thinking that this could be a 3-way trade between Golden State, Indiana, and Chicago, in which Chicago gets a forward from Golden State, because they have a bunch of forwards right now. And Chicago is looking for maybe like a spot up wing small ball forward to help out Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese, I think, while Indiana offloads Katie Lou Samuelson to Golden State with that draft pick sweetener right on top, because Golden State is a new team and they're building. Indiana to keep either Dana Evans or Lindsay Allen, both of which have come off the bench for the Chicago Sky as point guards, so they are not averse to come off the bench. And both of which have been starters, so they have that experience. I would think that Dana Evans would be less likely to want to come off the bench. I think that Lindsay Allen would be more likely to want to come off the bench. Okay, so just taking a look at the Chicago Sky's cap space, we have, where is she? Dana Evans. Dana Evans last season was at a $78.4K salary, and the Chicago Sky have offered her a qualifying offer to join the team. I don't know if you can hear my Hugo growling. He's growling at some dogs in the window. So Dana Evans has not accepted this yet because she had some issues with the, I don't know if it was just the organization, I don't know if it's just the fans, but she was obviously vocal about not wanting to be on the Chicago Sky this coming up season. So I think she is shopping around, which is why the Chicago Sky are shopping her around. And Lindsay Allen this season is on a $90K salary, so I would assume that Dana Evans would be a bit of a better deal with her experience compared to Lindsay Allen. I think they both would be great as backups if they were willing to do that. So if we take a look at Indiana's cap space, they, right as it is, this is not what they have now, because we have to take into account that Victoria Saxton was just cut. And that would give the Fever $132.6K to get a backup point guard. Think about those 19 and 20 draft prospects that they will be acquiring, which, by the way, aren't necessarily going to make the team. I should probably touch on how everyone is talking about Lucy Olsen coming in and being the backup point guard for the Indiana Fever. And while I think Lucy Olsen killed it in yesterday's game against USC, I don't know that she would be ready to step up to that next level and come straight in as a backup point guard for Caitlin Clark, as that is a pretty big shoes to fill. But but Lucy Olsen has a lot of potential, and I think that right now the Indiana Fever, with how serious their front office is, they are banking on assurance and not really knowing how Lucy Olsen could come into the W and how she could perform. I wouldn't put it past them to draft her at number 19 or 20 and see how she does in training camp. But I would also think that the front office is definitely looking for a backup to that backup, a backup idea to the backup idea, because you just can't be sure how somebody at that level will translate to the next level. But Lucy Olsen is great, and she could be cultivated into that player, just maybe given a little time and, given a little look and a little cultivation. A lot of people have pointed out how Kate Martin was I think 18th or 19th draft pick, but very, very low in the draft, and look at her. But I think that Kate Martin is one of those exceptions to the rule, because there are not many positions in the WNBA where rookies actually excel. It is like the cream of the crop that does, and they are very often cut. And I am of the mind to think that a lot of cuts are going to still be made, and a lot of things are going to happen in that draft area time frame. But hey, this is a lot of just kind of off the cuff thoughts that I had, and I have just been seeing so much already going on about Katie Lou Samuelson going to Golden State, which again I think is definitely a big possibility and has a lot of potential as a trade. But I wanted to just kind of hypothetically look at what else was out there, who else was out there. I mean, I could make a whole other video about what the Fever could do with the Mystics, since they seem to be having a fire sale right now, and how I really think there needs to be good 3-4 position that needs to be cultivated onto the Fever, as their 3-4 positions now are really good like prospects, but they are not good long-term prospects. And you know, every good team has a pretty good center, and I always like point this out about the New York Liberty and most of the WNBA championship teams. They have really solid center pieces, no pun intended. But like JJ was the MVP of the finals in last season, and that's not like for nothing. And Aaliyah Boston is a really great center, has such good chemistry with Cece, but she is still growing into that like defender position. And if you put JJ up against Aaliyah Boston, she'd get cooked. Aaliyah Boston would get cooked, that is. And the only reason I'm giving this sort of constructive criticism is because Indiana is looking to be the best. They are shooting for right now. So when you want to be the best, you have to compare yourself to the best and what the best has done in the past. History shows us things for a reason, and I don't think there is going to be a better offensive team in the W next season, because holy moly. But like, I do think that the defense is going to get better. I'm so excited about this, but to be the best defense, you have to compare yourself to the best defense. Offensively, I don't think anybody's going to beat out on the Fever. Pacing wise, so stoked on that. But you know the old adage, defense wins championships.